Hey guys, it's Jessica Does Disney, and in today's video we're going to be talking about my application process, phone interview, web interview, all that type of stuff. So I actually have my email pulled up right here, and it has like all the dates, messages and things like that, and my emails for everything. So I'm going to be referencing my iPad a lot, and I also have a notepad right here that just has written down things that were on the application, that were on the web interview, the phone interview, all that stuff, so that once again I have everything written down so I don't forget anything, because I can be pretty forgetful and I don't want to forget anything for you guys. Let's talk about the application, because I think that's what matters the most here. So I applied, let's see. I applied, it says I got my thank you for applying on the 15th, but I actually applied on the 14th. I think it was like a Monday. And basically on the application, I'm just going to tell you like what they ask and talk about, general things that would be on every application, and then some other things. So they ask obviously your name, if you have a nickname. I put that I had a nickname. I just put Jess. A lot of people call me Jess. They ask you for your college and the year that you're graduating twice. I don't know why, but they ask you in the beginning and then kind of like in the middle of the application. They asked for your GPA. It is optional. I did not put my GPA. Jobs that you've had, skills that you have, responsibilities that you've had in past jobs, your email, which I suggest putting like a professional email. My name is Jessica McDowell, so the email that I gave to them was mcdowelljessica@gmail.com. Also, you will know if you're in submission or in progress or NLIC after your application, but hold off for that because we're going to talk about that in a second. So they also ask if you've ever lived independently, also any extra languages that you speak and whether you speak them, you know, if you only know a few words or if you can make conversation or if you're fluent. I put Spanish and then I'm fluent because I am. Okay, yeah, roles. So your interest in roles, there's different roles obviously. I put low interest for about, no, not low interest, I mean no interest. I put no interest for about 4 or 5 different roles. Housekeeping, custodial, lifeguard, PhotoPass photographer, and I forgot which other one that I put no interest. And then the other ones I put high interest. And then there was one that I put like medium interest. I forgot what it was. I think it was like merchandise or something. I put like medium, like I wasn't sure. But everything was either no interest or high interest. I definitely recommend just putting no interest or high interest. I don't recommend putting like, I don't know, like for 3 of them put maybe, and then for some of them put high, and for like 1 of them put low. No, because you're gonna make a mess out of your application and you're probably gonna get put in submission, which submission just means they kind of like need to further review your application and you might not proceed in the interview process, so watch out for that. So yeah, just be very straightforward. They don't want like wishy-washy answers basically. About 10 or 15 minutes to complete the application. When I was then completing it, they let you like review it, and I reviewed it just to make sure that I wrote everything right. You don't just want to fill it out and then send it in, because if you put something wrong that might affect you. And there's a lot of people that sent in their applications and then after they were like, I think I put the wrong phone number, or I think I put the wrong email, because I'm not getting an email saying thanks for applying. So definitely watch out for that and pay attention to what you're doing. After I sent in my application, a few hours went by, and then I got an email saying that I was able to do the web interview. So that night I got home and I did the web interview right away because I couldn't even contain myself. Some people said to wait for the next day and stuff. I was like, I'm not waiting. So I did the web interview the same day as my application. So the web interview, they ask you how friendly you are. They also ask about helping others. So like, do you help others a lot, or do you let others help others? Like, do you not get into, you know, problems? Also, how would you handle angry guests? There were 2 scenario questions. One of them was about an angry guest and another one was about a crying child. So I definitely recommend looking up scenario questions on Google. Like I said, I don't have like the exact question because I just didn't write it down. But definitely I recommend looking up some like interview scenario questions for Disney jobs. You can find a lot online. And then they also ask you about your living space. So they'll ask you like if you're clean or if you're messy. They'll ask you if you're easy to get along with. If you feel like you're easy to get along with, that's what they ask you. It took me about 30 minutes to complete the web interview. Email said it would take 40 minutes, but it didn't. And they also ask you about like your tolerance. So if you're a very patient person or if you're not, I put that I'm a very patient person. I put that I'm very friendly. They also ask you about how you work. Like they'll ask you, do you feel that you are a blank? And then it'll be like hard worker, very hard worker, works more hard than others, or something else. And I put that I'm a very hard worker, that I work harder than others sometimes, things like that. So yeah, you just have to be honest and just make sure that you're putting the right answer. You don't want to put that you're a messy person or that you're not patient at all, like that you have no tolerance, things like that, because you are working in the hospitality and tourism industry. I'm a hospitality, tourism management major, and that's one of like the main things they teach you in the tourism classes. They just teach you that you have to have tolerance and you have to have patience, and that even though sometimes the guest isn't always right, it's okay, and you can make their experience better by listening to what they have to say. So yeah, just make sure that you are a patient person, that you do have a lot of tolerance, because it's definitely going to take a lot of patience, especially working in Disney with all these people that sometimes don't even know English and things like that. And then I think they also asked me again about if I know a second language or if I'm fluent in Spanish or something, and I put yes. So there was that. On to the phone interview, which everyone gets like the most nervous about. This is what I was most nervous about. Just thinking about the phone interview gave me like butterflies in my stomach. I got the phone interview right after my web interview. So basically I pressed submit on my web interview, and then a screen popped up and said, you got a phone interview. We believe that you are a strong candidate. And then I got an email with a link so that I could make an appointment for a phone interview. So then I did my phone interview for the following week on a Tuesday, and I'll tell you guys right now what date that was, because I know some people are interested. My phone interview was on August 23rd at 10:30 a.m. This day I was very sick. I was getting over a cold, and for some reason I got the cold like 2 days before my phone interview, so I was dying, but I did not want to reschedule my phone interview. I just thought it would look bad, and I just didn't want to reschedule, so I sucked it up. I drank some medicine, I drank a lot of water that morning, and just kind of tried to calm myself down, and I was like, I am going to do this, because I really wanted to do my phone interview, and it was at the perfect time. I didn't have school that day or anything like that. So I sat down on the floor of my room, and I had all these notes laid out, and I knew exactly what I was going to say. And when the phone interview started, I didn't even look at my notes, not once. You're honestly not going to. In that moment, one, you don't have time to look at your notes to find an answer, and two, you should just talk from your heart. I know that sounds silly, and maybe it sounds silly to some people, but that's basically what I did. You know, the notes, you're not going to have time to look at your notes and be like, what should I say and what should I do? You know, you have to be genuine in your phone interview so that they can feel it. Smile. Everyone always says it in your phone interview, just smile. I got asked a lot of questions about quick service food and beverage, how I felt about preparing food. I also got asked a lot about my past jobs, so make sure that you know what your responsibilities were and skills that you learned in past jobs, because they're going to ask you a lot. So what were your responsibilities in this past job and this past job? I worked at a daycare, and I also volunteered at a golf tournament. So they asked me a lot about working at the daycare, how I worked with kids, what did I do exactly, and I told them all the different things that they did. Then I started getting asked a lot about quick service food and beverage, how I felt about preparing food, how I felt about cleaning up my own station, what else, how I felt about working outside in the heat, how I felt about carrying large, like heavy things. So you're just gonna get asked a lot about your past jobs and about upcoming roles that they're thinking about putting you in. Also, in the beginning of the phone interview, we talked about my second language, which is Spanish, like I said before. And she basically just told me, okay, well, when you get down here, you're gonna have to take a test for that, just so you can get like the little tag thing on your name tag that says that you speak another language, Spanish, Portuguese, whatever it may be. Some key words and tips that I used the word guests a lot. In my web interview and in my phone interview, I said guests a lot. I referred to customers as guests. I also talked about, especially my skills and things, about having to interact with guests, having to be friendly with guests, how I have to like solve problems with parents, working at the daycare, things like that. There's a lot of like keywords that you can use. A lot of people say to use the word friendly in your web interview and things like that. And also in your phone interview, just seem very outgoing, very friendly. Know what you're going to say. Listen to the questions that they have. I remember there was one question that my interviewer told me, and I was like, what did she just say? Like, I literally did not know what she said. I was freaking out because I was like, oh no, now I'm not going to know what to answer. And I just took a deep breath and I said, ma'am, I'm not sure what you're asking me. Can you please just repeat the question or maybe explain it to me? And she was like, oh, no problem, and she explained it to me. I also got one question asked about bell services, and it was a scenario question, and it was like, oh, if you had to assign a bellman a large shipment of luggage and you had to tell him to send it to a room, and maybe you think that the work is too much for him, what would you do? What would you say to him? How would you handle it? And I just told her that I would be honest. I would talk to my bellman. I wouldn't just, you know, give him that and give him the work and not say anything. Just talk to him and talk it out, things like that. So she saw that I'm a problem solver. I'm not just gonna sit around and be like, oh, I don't know. Well, I've never worked that, so I don't know. You know, you can't say that. You have to come up with something. You have to be quick on your feet. It's also really good to practice. I looked up a lot of questions and I would just tell myself aloud some answers that I thought were good. There were a lot of people that gave out like a long list of questions that could possibly be on your phone interview. Personally, I didn't look at those. I really just kind of went and did like my own research. So like I said, just depends on the person and what you like to do and what, you know, your interests are and what you end up doing for your phone interview. But I would just say definitely stay calm, take a deep breath. Right when my phone started ringing, I just took a deep breath and I answered the call. And like I said, I smiled a lot. Definitely keep your smile. I mean, there's some questions that might be a little bit more serious than others, but for the most part, just try and smile, because it not only makes your phone interview even better, but it might make her day better, and then, you know, maybe you'll get chosen. So yeah, those are just some things I did. If you have any questions about anything, definitely leave them in the comments below, and I will be sure to get back to you guys. If you like Disney College Program videos, then definitely subscribe to my channel. Subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.
I'm thinking about her every second, every